Nordstrom this week credited faster supply chain operations for improved sales and CX. And CX, for maybe those that aren't in the parlance, is consumer experience. I thought that was interesting how they wrote the article. According to Retail Dive, Nordstrom credited CX improvements, including improved e-commerce search and more efficient supply chain operations, as major contributors to its 3.4% net sales growth. According to executives, more efficient inventory operations enabled faster returns and ensured popular items were available when customers needed them. Executives also highlighted using RFID tags on items at more stores to improve accuracy and speed of service. And
Yes.
is this connection between supply chain and CX efficiencies at Nordstrom's real? Or is it just PR window dressing? What is your take there? And Nordstrom in the news today, by the way.
I
Holy
know.
cow.
Yeah. The family's trying to take it back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I have to say it's 100% real. I think
100%.
every
Wow. Okay.
everything comes
Hmm.
down to, as a consumer, can I get the product that I want where you say I can get it and when I say I can get it? And I think that it's all it all depends on whether or not you have this inventory visibility. When I was at the Scanned It and Power event last week, I was talking to retailers from Walmart all the way down to Crate and Barrel, and we did this really cool experiment, I guess, where we were looking at a timeline on a sheet of paper. And of all those retailers, the majority of them are focused on getting better inventory visibility as the technology that they're going to invest in now, in the now, next, and future. That's what they're trying to get a handle on because of all the impact it has down the line. And of course, at the customer level, at the very end of it. I think the last point I'd make is that I think this also helps with Nordstrom when you're looking at one of their biggest growth channels being Nordstrom Rack stores. I think when you have RFID and inventory visibility and you can start to get down to being able to identify where those objects are at the Nordstrom Rack level too, and being able to give consumers a better experience both in those Rack stores and at the Nordstrom, the department stores, I think that's a lot of power that they'll have in their hands that they wouldn't have had before. And it might take a while to see that trickle down effect, but still I think that making the investment upstream will have a huge impact for all of the Nordstrom consumers.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. The Nordstrom Racks idea is interesting. Yeah. Definitely a different matzo ball to try to get off the ground. I don't know if I'd say 100%. I think I'd probably
Okay.
disagree with you there. I think I almost think in the line of business we're in and covering the headlines like we do, almost never anything, almost very rarely is anything ever 100% the true story, right? As we've talked about. But I think retail is detail. That's what you're getting at here. And
Yeah.
headlines like this bring this to life. The examples you shared at the Scan It event also do. So I believe it's real for the most part. And Nordstrom, I'll say too, Nordstrom, as evidenced by the fact that they're trying to take their company private, Nordstrom doesn't play the BS angle all that often. Like, I don't think we've ever called BS on Nordstrom in a headline before, So I think like you said, the more
Maybe for the tonal partnership. I was not on board with that
well,
one.
that was just a
Other
bad
than that.
idea. That was just a bad idea, right? Yeah. But they were honest about doing it, but it wasn't just a bad idea.
Yes.
But I think inventory does make your search better. It enables your employees to save, to serve your customers better and to save time. And so the virtuous effects of just having good inventory are endless. I mean, it goes back to things we've been stumping for 10 years on OmniTalk, like inventory accuracy is key to being a good omni-channel retailer. Great item data is as well. So but I think the last thing I make, just a personal plug here, kudos to my former HBS classmate and good friend, Alexis Dupree, who's the chief supply chain officer at Nordstrom too. I imagine she's taking a lot of pride in this announcement, and her team have done a lot of great work in pulling this off for Nordstrom too. So Ben, what do you think though? Are you buying this, or are you more skeptical? Going to throw some English pessimism in here? What's the word?
I mean, I think you say retail's detail. I think there's some really nice little bits of detail in what they've shared. So, for example, they talk about improving their returns process to get products back on the shelf better to improve their in-stock availability. I think that's really, because that says to me, actually, they've got some really strong disciplines in inventory. They're not over ordering. They're not losing track of where things are. So yeah, there's some evidence. They talk about e-com delivery times have been improved by the RFID. There's some nice operational process disciplines. There's obviously the for me shines a light on if I would summarize the press release, it's kind of retailer does good retailing and gets good results. And I think that's a really nice, that's a
Right.
really nice place to be. And
Theme of the
look,
show so far, really.
yeah, I mean, look, Nordstrom's have been the standout department store results this quarter. I mean, look, they're not supersonic, but sales, footfall, and margins are all up, and it's a story we're just not seeing any of the other major department stores that have reported in the last week or so.
Mhm.
And I was debating this one through with Joe Laszlo,
Yeah.
of the Shop.com team last night, and he was making the point, which I thought was really interesting, that we're seeing a set of results this go around where actually good retailers are delivering positive results, and where there's challenges, it's often down to maybe the retailer isn't doing. We've had so many cycles of the tide lifting all boats, whether it's COVID or whether it's the e-com bubble or whether it's inflation. But this feels like decent retailing, unlocking result. And you look at, I think you guys talked about the Lululemon results. They didn't get their merchandising quite right this quarter, and the marketing wasn't quite connected, and the results aren't quite there. So you're kind of starting to understand the retailers a little bit more than just general tides that are moving the industry. And I think kudos to the Nordstrom team off the back of that.